So what if I told you the biggest thing holding you back from getting fit isn't your body, your schedule, or your willpower? It's actually your mind. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. It's actually the reason that they fail because they're stuck in a silent battle with their beliefs in themselves. And if you're someone who's ever said, I just can't stick to it, I'm not motivated enough, or I'll never look like that, or I'll look like that person, that's not the truth. That's actually a limiting belief. And those beliefs are essentially like, imagine invisible handbrakes, keeping you from building that momentum no matter how hard you actually try. So in this video today, in this training, I'm going to show you exactly how those beliefs form, how they quietly sabotage your fitness and also your life goals, and most importantly, how to break them for good. Because these limiting beliefs are things that have been holding you back from not just your fitness, but life in general. And this is a mindset science which meets real life results. Essentially, fixing your mindset and those limiting beliefs is going to help you with actual results in your life. So if you're ready to unlock that version of you that actually follows through the things that you say, then let's get busy, let's get into this and stay to the end, because I've got a powerful mindset task that you'll be able to put into action that will help you start shifting those limiting beliefs today. So without further ado, let's get into what we're actually going to be doing today. And as the title said, we're going to be breaking limiting beliefs for fitness, health, and life. So welcome. This session is about one of the most overlooked factors in your fitness and health transformation. We all think it's just nutrition and training and, steps and things like that. But the most overlooked thing in this whole journey, in this whole process, is your mindset. More specifically, those limiting beliefs that I'm talking about. They're essentially those quiet internal scripts that you have about yourself that stop you from creating the consistency, the energy, and the results that you actually deserve. And if you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things, but you're still self-sabotaging, then this is probably why, and those beliefs. So without further ado, let's get into it and let's get into discussing what we're actually going to be covering today and what you can expect. So essentially, we're going to break down what limiting beliefs actually are. We're going to define limiting beliefs, show how they impact your fitness, and reveal the invisible loop that keeps you stuck. And then what I'm going to do is, like I said, stick around because there's a powerful task at the end, and I'm going to teach you how to break these things. And that one powerful task that can literally start shifting your mindset from today. So let's get into it really, and let's get into what actually are limiting beliefs. So what are they? They're thoughts essentially that hold you back. They're thoughts that hold you back from achieving the results that you actually want. So a limiting belief is a subconscious thought that limits your potential. So you might not actually say it out loud, but it runs in the background of all the decisions that you actually make. And most of these beliefs were formed by past failures, criticisms, or internalized messages from society or someone else. They're not actual facts, but your brain treats them as the truth until you actually start to question those things. So think about these things here, healthy eating is too hard. I don't have the time. I can't lose weight. All these things that you say to yourself, are they actually true? Because you can lose weight. You just need to be in a calorie deficit, do your steps, eat well. Why can't you eat hard? Why can't you eat healthy? Why is that hard? Why is that too hard for you, but it's not hard for other people? I don't have the time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So why don't you have the time, but someone else who works 17 hours can find the time to work out? So these are all just limiting beliefs that we have, and essentially they're holding us back from achieving those goals that we have because we think that we can't do things that we can. That these are not facts, these are just thoughts in our head. So the mind is so powerful, and it's why I spent so much money on doing a psychology degree. In psychology, we use a framework called CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, which shows us how the thoughts that we have shape our feelings, shape our behavior. They shape absolutely everything that we do, essentially. And if you believe those things, such as, I can't be consistent, then you're going to feel defeated and you won't be consistent. And you'll likely act in the ways that prove that belief right. It's almost like the law of attraction sort of theory, where you believe that something should happen to you and you attract that. And as a result, you'll do those actions that will attract that for you. For example, if you want to make more money, you're going to go out and do the tasks that will make you more money. If you want to lose weight, you're going to go out and train. And those things, those actions, it doesn't just magically happen, but you do the actions that will allow that thing to happen to you. So the brain is neuroplastic. Essentially what that means is it can change. Your brain is not stuck this way. It can change. You can literally rewire how you think, how you act and see yourself. And that starts with choosing those better beliefs in yourself and in what you actually want to achieve. So as it says here, with fitness consistency, your beliefs determine whether you'll show up for workouts, for example. Even when motivation fades. People say to me, how are you so motivated? I'll be honest, I'm not always motivated, but I've built a routine and consistency because I know that's what's going to help me to get my results in my fitness journey. Nutrition. Your mindset influences your ability to make healthy choices when it comes to food. Sometimes we might say, I probably shouldn't have that, but then we have it anyway. Someone who's determined to achieve that result will say, I shouldn't have that. Okay, I'm not going to have it today because I don't have the calories, for example. Your nutrition habits are shaped around your mindset. Motivation, again, your self-image dictates how you respond to challenges and setbacks. If you're not happy with where you are, then the motivation to get to where you want to be is what's going to get you there. And that self-image and you not being happy with that is going to motivate you to do more. Sleep and stress. Your thoughts directly impact hormone regulation and recovery. If you haven't slept well, your thoughts are going to be off and you're not going to recover as well. You're going to make worse choices throughout the day. As Henry Ford says, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Whatever you think is what you're going to do. So essentially, the mind is so powerful in every decision that you make along your fitness journey. So what are some fitness specific limiting beliefs? Well, I hear these all the time. I always fall off track. I can't do this. I'm not the type of person who works out. It's not me. It's too late for me. I'm lazy. You're not these things, but you are telling yourself that these things are you. And as a result, you're going to do those behaviors that align with these thoughts. So these are some of the most common mindset traps that I hear from clients that I've worked with. I'll always quit. I'm too far gone. I'm lazy. I'm not going to do it. None of these things, as I said before, are facts. They're identity-based beliefs. And research shows that your identity drives the behavior. So when we shift how you see yourself, your habits will follow. So if you tell yourself that I'm too old, I'm too unfit, I'm far gone, you're going to literally do those behaviors that align with that. So what you need to do is say, I'm not too old. I'm young. I'm going to be fit. I've got time. I can make up for the behaviors that I've done in the past. I know that I can get this result. I'm not lazy. I'm fit. I'm confident. All these things that you say to yourself. There's literally a thing, I think it's Mel Robbins, where she says, when you wake up in the morning, stare in the mirror and tell yourself something positive about yourself, or tell yourself what you're going to do today, and then give yourself a high five after. And people say, oh, that's nonsense. Not, but your brain is literally rewiring and telling you that this is going to happen during the day. If you speak that into existence and do that, it's going to happen. The next one is literally how beliefs can block you and can block your progress. So belief, I always fail at fitness goals. Something like that, of course, you're probably going to fail if you go in with that belief. It goes belief, emotion, action, result, reinforcement. I always fail. You're going to be hopeless as a result. You're going to avoid the workout, no progress. That belief is confirmed. So that's the loop, That is how it works. You believe something, it creates an emotion, that drives the action, which creates a result and confirms that belief. So if you go with a negative belief, of course you're going to get a negative result. If you switch that up and go with a positive belief, then you're going to get something that's positive as a result of that. This is how people get stuck in the same position for years. But once you disrupt that cycle, even once, then you create a crack in the belief. And that's all it takes to begin changing. So if you're someone who's constantly holding yourself back from your results, I always get injured, so it's just going to happen again. What's the point of me trying? I've just got injured. I'm not going to bounce back. There's no point. Let me just leave it here. I can't lose weight because I just keep putting it on. It's my hormones, my genes. All these beliefs that you put into yourself are then going to be put back out into the world, and you're going to get a negative result as a result of that. So when you're thinking on a day-to-day, as people say, positive thinking is going to get a positive result. So we need to break the cycle. If you're somebody who thinks like this, we need to break that cycle. We need to challenge the belief. We need to replace it. So to break the cycle, challenging that belief, ask yourself, is it true? Am I actually too lazy? Am I not confident? Always, in every single case, is that the case? What's the proof against it? What can we actually put against those thoughts that we have? And what would you say, or what would I say, if someone I loved believed this about themselves? If someone I loved said, I'm too old to get fit and healthy for my kids, I'm not confident. I'm never going to do this. If someone I love said that, I would literally, tell them, no, you're not. So why would you say that about yourself? Reframe it. Instead of thinking, I can't stick to anything, I can't do this, try it. I'm learning to follow through. Sorry. Even if it is messy, it's not going to be linear. The results, the journey is not going to be straightforward. I'm going to follow through, even if it does get messy, because I know that the positive result I'm going to get is what I want. This small reframe opens the door to new actions. And as I said, new actions leads to new outcomes. So challenging those beliefs is what's going to literally get you to where you want to be on your fitness and health journey and in life in general. So we've got to break that cycle essentially. So like I said at the beginning of this, stick around and I'm going to give you a game-changing task. So here's the task. What I want you to do is, it's all good me telling you all this, but if you're not putting it into action, then what's the point? Let's lock this in now. What I want you to do is get yourself a journal, write on your notes, whatever you want, get yourself a journal. We don't need any more screens in our life. Write down one belief that's been holding you back, whether it's fitness related, whether it's health, nutrition, whether it's life in general, business, whatever. Write that belief down that's been holding you back. Then the second part, ask yourself, where did this actually come from? Was it a bad experience? Someone's opinion? Where did this belief come from? And then I want you to rewrite that belief. Make it true, make it possible and empowering. If it's, I can't work out, I want you to reframe that. I'm going to work out, or I'm able to work out, and make it true, make it possible. Don't make something up that's, out of reach. Make it like real. You can actually go and do this, because you telling yourself that you can't work out, of course you're not going to work out. But unless you literally are not able to work out, then there's no reason for you to believe that in your head. And this isn't fluff. Like I said, you can rewire your brain. And this is how you retrain your brain to expect success and not failure or sabotage. And that is literally going to be game changing for you on this journey. So start with this task. I want you to start with this task first and foremost. And to finish off, I want to give you some tools, because at the end of the day, changing beliefs takes practice. So just like you train your body, train your muscles in the gym, you're doing shoulder presses, you need to train your mind as well. So here are some tools that I've used myself and have massively helped me, and also helped clients that I've worked with in the past. So here are some tools that you can use to help yourself as well. So first and foremost, journaling. Do not sleep on journaling. It's one of the best things you can do. I mean, even myself these days, when I get carried away with things, just go to a park, sit next to a tree, sit on a park bench, and just take a journal with you. Reflect on your thoughts, reflect on your emotions and your wins, and obviously reflect on things that potentially aren't going so well. And then you can know what you need to do to improve on that. But remember, think positively. So reflect on those wins, even if they are small. If you've drunk 2 litres this week compared to 1 litre, that's a win. Don't think just because it's water and it's not weight loss, it's still a win. And those wins will add up. Visualization, again, absolutely massive. Regularly connect with the future version of you who's overcome these limitations and these limiting beliefs that you have at this moment in time. Picture that version of you who already follows through with that workout. That version of you that chooses that clean meal or healthier meal 80% of the time. Visualization is an absolutely massive tool that can help you to get to where you want to be. If you're visualizing yourself in the future and it's not a positive version of you, then the habits that you do and the things that you do on a day-to-day are not going to be positive. So visualize a future self of you who's where you want to be, and then those habits will come with that. The next one is community. Surround yourself with people who reflect the mindset that you want to develop. Do you know how key it is, the circle that you surround yourself with? The people that I've been around recently have pushed me on to be a better version of myself, and I've developed as a result of that. There's a lot you can do on your own and work on your own self-image, your own self-confidence, self-affirmations. But a lot of the time, the people that you surround yourself with, that energy is going to be passed on to you. So surrounding yourself with those type of people is going to be absolutely brilliant for you. And other things, that come with the journaling and come with the affirmations and things like that. Affirmations, repetition rewires that belief. If you constantly tell yourself, I am confident, I can work out, I am going to go for that run, I am going to do this, I am going to do these things. It's such a powerful thing. And if you keep affirming that to yourself every single day, then your brain is going to rewire and it's going to think like that. It's going to believe that. And you're going to overcome those limiting beliefs. Tracking your progress, not just weight, but track your habits, your mood, your energy, and have that self-compassion. Don't bully your way into change. Coach yourself through it. where you're at the moment, okay, it's not where you want to be. Those limiting beliefs are holding you back. But coach yourself through every day, doing those little things and these consistency with these tools that I've mentioned, starting off with that task that I mentioned. They're going to build those neural pathways. They're going to make that positive thinking happen, and you are going to change as a result of that. So that is this webinar on limiting beliefs, how they can impact your life, how they can impact your fitness, your health journey. But I promise you, if you put into action that task, these tools, and you learn to rewire your brain to thinking positively and overcoming those limiting beliefs and those negative thoughts, you are going to make so much progress and so much more progress on your fitness and your health journey and in life in general. And you are going to become a much better version of you. This is scientific research into psychology. I am a psychology graduate at the University of Loughborough. I'm not just talking here about nonsense and mindset and waffle. This is all proven in scientific research, and it's going to help you to become that best version of yourself. So take on board what I've said. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let's make this new version of you the one that you want it to be and the one that I know you want it to be. So change that mindset and see how much further you get. And I'll see you on the next one.